Chapter 1480, A Slight Smile. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan rested for a few minutes before opening his eyes. His stamina had recovered. His eyes were no longer seeing stars. He had a clear mind, and his condition was much better. Sixth Hair let out a sigh of relief when he saw Fang Yuan taking over. Both of them exchanged roles perfectly. They had practiced this step many times. Right now, Fang Yuan's strength path immortal zombie body had completely turned into a human-shaped golden cloud divine wood. Fang Yuan moved to the next step. The refinement path immortal formation opened its door again as a huge sea urchin flew out. This sea urchin was large as a house. There were sharp spikes on its surface, like it was made of purple gold. There were countless shining spots on its body surface. This was the purple star urchin. It was a rare immortal material. Under the effect of the immortal formation, the purple star urchin could be seen shrinking gradually. Progress was smooth. But suddenly, from the purple star urchin, there was a dazzling starlight. The starlight bounced around like a ball, moving randomly. The refinement path immortal formation shook intensely. Fang Yuan had a stern expression as he tried to keep it under control. But there was little effect. The bouncing starlight had increased from 1 to 3. With greater disturbances, the refinement path immortal formation shook even more intensely. There were creaking sounds coming from it. "Oh no!" Sixth Hair cried out in dismay, before shouting, "Moving of a single thought, blossoming of the red snake." Sixth Hair willed in his mind as red snake tattoos appeared on his skin, moving about upwards. The snake tattoos were originally at his chest, but it had moved up towards his neck now. At this moment, Sixth Hair's strength rose drastically. His eyes were bursting with brilliance. Even Fang Yuan was greatly shocked. Sixth Hair charged towards Fang Yuan and helped him to control the refinement path immortal formation. With his help, the bouncing starlight specks were destroyed one after another. Crisis averted. A while later, Sixth Hair let out a breath of air. He was in a fatigued condition. "Sect leader, it is up to you now." Saying this, he fainted on the spot. Fang Yuan was silent. He looked at the red snake tattoos on Sixth Hair's neck before turning his attention to the goo formation before him. Because of Sixth Hair's desperate save, the crisis of the goo refinement was resolved. Fang Yuan could move to the next step. The third door of the immortal formation opened. A new immortal material flew out. This was a rock, but the rock had natural carvings of faces. These were human faces, with men, women, young, old. They had varying expressions. Some cried, laughed, screamed, or had serious expressions. Thousand-face human rock. This was the most crucial step. Fang Yuan invested all his concentration into the goo refinement. The thousand-face human rock soon disintegrated due to the refinement path immortal formation. But the faces turned into illusory shadows and flew into the immortal zombie body's aperture. Fang Yuan's aperture was full of cracks originally, but now it changed. The cracks on the aperture walls were filled up with a thick purple gold rock. There were countless stars shining on it. There were even sharp spikes protruding from them, looking like the purple star urchin. The human faces flew around the aperture. Under Fang Yuan's control, they went towards the spring-autumn cicada at the center. Spring-autumn. Cicada was sealed by Fang Yuan. It could not move. The human faces rapidly went past spring-autumn cicada before flying away again. Spring-autumn cicada shuddered, but was as stable as before. The human faces flew for a while as they slowly melted like snow exposed to sun. They faded into nothingness with only a small thread remaining. This thread-like thing was heaven's will. Every time the human faces flew past the spring-autumn cicada, it would be a quick refinement process that took away a portion of heaven's will from spring-autumn cicada. Human faces flew past spring-autumn cicada one after another, drawing out the sealed heaven's will. These threads of heaven's will were soon taken out by Fang Yuan and melted by the refinement path immortal formation. This process lasted a long time until the human faces were no longer able to bring out heaven's will. Heaven's will is too stubborn, far more than I had expected. Fang Yuan sighed. He directly mobilized several human faces to attack at once. The human faces surrounded Spring-Autumn Cicada as they gritted their teeth, dragging out the threads from Spring-Autumn Cicada. Heaven's will was sealed into the thread-like state, dragged out forcefully time and again. Spring. Autumn Cicada continued to shake, but it was in safe hands. No cracks were developing. Fang Yuan had painstakingly created the refinement path immortal formation. It was the best method against this. After dozens of times, even if Fang Yuan controlled an army of human faces, they would no longer draw out Heaven's will from Spring-Autumn Cicada. But Fang Yuan could sense that at the deepest part inside Spring-Autumn Cicada, a small bit of Heaven's will was lingering. This bit of Heaven's will was almost negligible, but Fang Yuan did not dare to let it remain. Heaven's will is truly pesky. I have to do this after all. Fang Yuan sighed, activating the refinement path immortal formation to its limits. The spikes on the aperture that resembled the purple star urchin grew furiously as they stabbed towards Spring-Autumn Cicada from all directions. There were hundreds of spikes that stabbed into Spring-Autumn Cicada. Spring-Autumn Cicada was not destroyed. Instead, it was melted into a green jade liquid. The spikes absorbed this liquid instinctively. Eventually, there was only that bit of Heaven's will left at Spring-Autumn Cicada's original spot. Fang Yuan quickly destroyed it. Finally, the green liquid was forced out of the spikes and gathered at the center, into a lump. Fang Yuan stared with bloodshot eyes. He felt extreme pressure to maintain this situation. The refinement path immortal formation was at its maximum capacity. A large amount of red date immortal essence was expended at this moment. The green liquid slowly took shape, turning back into Spring-Autumn Cicada. It was safe and sound. The only difference was that after melting and reforming, there was no longer any of Heaven's will inside its body. Originally, Shadowsect planned to raise Spring-Autumn Cicada's rank through refinement before reverse refining it to get rid of Heaven's will. But after Fang Yuan modified it, it became a parallel refinement. Parallel refinement had a much higher chance of success than normal refinement. But even so, the process was filled with difficulty. There was even a crisis that was resolved only by Sixth Hair's timely action. Seeing the Spring-Autumn Cicada that was floating quietly in the aperture, Fang Yuan felt extremely pleased. At this point, Rank 6 Spring-Autumn Cicada had succeeded in the parallel refinement. Fang Yuan finally had full control of this legendary immortal goo. Crack! Crack! The aperture was emitting this sound. The cracks were not appearing on Spring-Autumn Cicada, but the purple gold rock and spikes instead. Fang Yuan watched this. He could not and did not want to stop this. The rock and spikes shattered, and at the same time, even the aperture itself broke. Fang Yuan's aperture had truly gone through lots of turmoil. It was first pressured by Spring-Autumn Cicada, forcing Fang Yuan to turn it into a stone aperture in dead aperture. At this moment, it had reached its limit. It shattered. This was the result of parallel refining Spring-Autumn Cicada. It could not be avoided, and Fang Yuan did not want to avoid it either. I'll undergo tribulation like this. Fang Yuan laughed. A lump of soul appeared beside the immortal formation. The soul moved rapidly, entering Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body. The immortal zombie body opened its eyes and nodded at Fang Yuan. It was Fang Yuan's soul who occupied the body. He had used his split soul method to divide a portion of his soul. This was his first split soul. Fang Yuan smiled as he used an immortal killer move on the immortal zombie body, strength reversing life and death. This was a method that he had created long ago. It was modified from Blazing Heaven Demoness's Nirvana Fire. It could allow an immortal zombie to return to human form. At this moment, the strength reversing life and death that Fang Yuan used was modified and even better than before. It was not inferior to Nirvana Fire. The immortal zombie body returned to life as 2 lifespan goo were tossed out by Fang Yuan. The immortal zombie body grabbed them and used them immediately. This body had been bathed in the light of wisdom for too long back in Imperial Court Blessed Land. Its lifespan was near its end. Now that he used lifespan goo, it gained a large amount of lifespan, It would not die immediately after coming back to life. The aperture shattered as a storm developed in the sovereign immortal aperture. Heaven and earth chi were starting to move. Fang Yuan did not want his clone to undergo tribulation in sovereign immortal aperture. He opened his immortal aperture door. The clone flew out and faced the calamities and tribulations head-on. Afterwards, Fang Yuan's main body kept sovereign immortal aperture and appeared in the outside world too. This was a nameless place in northern plains. Fang Yuan had chosen it after close inspection. There was nobody here, and it was very safe. The immortal ascension calamities and tribulations were terrifying to most Gu masters. It could be said to be a near-death experience. But for Fang Yuan, it was a piece of cake. Be it the balancing of heaven, earth, and human chi, or the assault of the tribulations, Fang Yuan was very familiar with them. Heaven was extremely furious. Fang Yuan had actually gained complete control over spring-autumn cicada. This was truly the tipping point for heaven's will. It unleashed calamities and tribulations of the highest level possible. But that was completely pointless. Fang Yuan easily dispersed the calamities and tribulations in a few attacks, ensuring that his clone got through the tribulation easily, becoming an immortal. The last time it was strength path, now it was time path. The first aperture became a high-grade time path blessed land. Fang Yuan named it Spring-Autumn Blessed Land. The space in it was not large, but it had a lot of time path resources. The dark clouds pressuring him had faded. The sky was clear, and sunlight shone down brilliantly. Fang Yuan and his clone stood in the air, looking at the huge grasslands silently. The bitterness and difficulty faced in the 500 years of his previous life. The helplessness against heaven's will's arrangements after rebirth. The desperate struggle to survive. The tiredness he felt from trying to save Donghun Mountain. Feeding immortal Gu. Managing his immortal aperture. And deducing killer moves. All of these feelings turned into a slight smile that appeared on both of Fang Yuan's faces. The past was like a passing smoke. All of his difficulties and pain were converted into this faint smile.